I'm Emma, 28 years old, and I manage a book cafe. Honestly, it's a challenging job, but I love the moments when customers start their day with a cup of coffee and a good book. It was just another busy morning at the cafe when Noah walked in. I had been managing the book cafe for a while, and it wasn't easy to impress me with new hires. But Noah was different. With his dark hair, confident posture, and that gentle smile, he already looked like he belonged here, even though it was his first shift. I didn't expect much of a connection. I had enough on my plate already, managing the store, keeping everything running smoothly. But as I watched him prepare his first cup of coffee, I couldn't help but notice how easily he moved, as if he'd been doing it for years. I was intrigued, but I didn't let myself get too caught up. The next morning, he surprised me. Noah walked up to the counter, a warm cappuccino in his hand, and handed it to me without a word. I didn't know how to respond. I wasn't used to people being this kind, especially not at work. "Just a little something for you," he said, his smile genuine. It was such a simple thing, but it made me pause. I had never really stopped to notice the little things in life, but Noah seemed to do that with ease. It felt nice, but I couldn't take it. I wasn't used to accepting things from people like this, so I smiled back and said, "Thank you, but I'm good. I've already had my coffee." He didn't push. He just gave me that understanding nod. The cafe had closed for the day, and the lights dimmed, leaving just the hum of the coffee machine in the background. Noah and I were cleaning up the place, both of us silently moving about, but something felt different tonight. He asked if I needed help with something, and before I knew it, we were talking, and not just about work. We talked about everything. Our favorite books, the places we'd like to travel, the things that made us happy. For the first time in a while, I felt like I could truly be myself. He made it easy. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the conversation. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was just a manager or an employee. I was just Emma. A few days later, we decided to grab lunch together. The cafe wasn't busy at that time, so we sat at one of the tables, enjoying a peaceful moment between shifts. I can't even tell you how long we talked, but by the end of it, I realized something. I had started looking forward to our conversations. I found myself thinking about him more than I probably should have. There was something comforting about being around him. He wasn't trying to impress me. He was just him. I didn't know if I was reading too much into it, but I couldn't help the flutter in my chest whenever I saw him. It was raining that evening. I didn't have an umbrella, and the bus was running late. I had barely stepped out the door when I heard his voice. "Need a ride home?" Noah asked from across the street, holding up his umbrella. I hesitated, but then nodded. There was no reason to turn down the offer, especially with the rain soaking through my clothes. As we drove through the city streets, we talked about everything and nothing. It felt easy, like I'd known him for years instead of just a few weeks. The way he listened, really listened, made me feel special. Maybe it was the rain, or maybe it was the fact that I didn't feel so alone in that moment, but I found myself looking forward to seeing him again. Over the next few days, Noah kept surprising me. He'd bring me coffee in the mornings, always at just the right temperature, with the perfect amount of froth. Each time he handed me my cup, I noticed the smile in his eyes. He was careful, always gentle, but there was something else too, a sense of warmth. And for the first time in a while, I realized how much I liked it. It wasn't the coffee, it was him. One evening, after the café had closed, Noah pulled me aside. He looked serious, almost hesitant, and that immediately made me nervous. "Emma, I need to tell you something," he began. "I'm married." My heart sank. I wasn't sure what I expected him to say, but it certainly wasn't this. He explained that his marriage wasn't what he thought it would be. I love my wife, but we don't have the connection we used to. I feel alive when I'm with you. You make everything feel easier. I didn't know what to say. I felt a rush of emotions, confusion, disbelief, and something else. Something I couldn't quite place, but there was no denying it. I was feeling something too. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying Noah's words. "I feel alive when I'm with you." What did that mean? Was I just a distraction? A temporary fix for something missing in his marriage? My thoughts were a tangled mess. I liked Noah. I liked him a lot. But I couldn't ignore the fact that he was married. That made everything complicated. And I wasn't sure if I was ready to complicate my life like that. I had always tried to do the right thing. Was this the right thing? The cafe was packed, and I was running around, keeping things in order. I had to focus on work. I couldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment, but it was hard. Every time I saw Noah, I felt a little flutter in my chest. He was just being himself, kind and thoughtful. But now, with his confession still hanging in the air, I couldn't ignore the fact that something more was simmering beneath the surface. I couldn't let myself think too much about it. Not here, not now. But it wasn't easy. I couldn't keep all of this to myself. I needed someone to talk to, so I called Chloe. We met at her place, and I spilled everything. The late night talks, the rides home, Noah's confession. "You deserve someone who can be with you fully, Emma," Chloe said. "Not someone who's halfway in, halfway out. Don't settle for less." I knew she was right. But it didn't make the situation any easier. I wasn't just in a relationship with Noah. I was in a relationship with my own feelings. And it was getting harder to ignore. A few days later, I went to a gallery event organized by Lila. I wasn't expecting to see Noah there, but there he was, standing beside his wife, Lila. She was everything I wasn't: elegant, poised, beautiful. They looked perfect together. And there I was, standing in the background, feeling small and invisible. I told myself it didn't matter, but the knot in my stomach wouldn't go away. Why was he spending time with me if he had her? The question haunted me for days. I couldn't keep this up anymore. That night, I confronted Noah. I couldn't just sit back and pretend that everything was okay. "Why are you spending time with me if you're so happy with her?" I asked, my voice trembling. He looked at me with a sadness I hadn't seen before. "I'm not happy, Emma." "Not really, but when I'm with you, I feel something. I feel alive." His words hit me like a wave. I didn't know what to do with them. I liked him so much, but I couldn't be the reason someone's marriage fell apart. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't continue seeing Noah like this. It wasn't fair to either of us. I told him we needed space, that I needed to think. I wasn't ready for a relationship built on uncertainty. I needed to focus on myself, not on someone else's marriage. Noah came to my apartment a few days later. He looked apologetic but sincere. He said he had talked to Lila and he was going to figure things out with her. He thanked me for helping him see what he truly wanted in life. I wasn't sure how to feel. Part of me wanted to run, but another part of me was proud of him for being honest with himself. A week later, Noah and I had one final conversation. He told me that he had made a decision. He was going to work on his marriage, but he wanted to thank me for showing him that he deserved more than just existing. He said he wanted me to be happy. I didn't know if I was ready for all of this, but I appreciated the honesty. Over time, I found myself focusing on the things that made me happy. I began to take better care of myself, reading more, spending time with friends, and being proud of the work I was doing at the café. For the first time, I felt like I was truly living for me, not for anyone else. One morning, I woke up feeling different. It wasn't just the sunlight streaming through my window. It was me. I was ready to take on the world, one cup of coffee at a time. I knew things weren't perfect, but they were good, and that was enough for me. Noah came by to say goodbye. He was leaving the city to work at another cafe. He thanked me once again for everything and gave me one final smile. "Take care of yourself, Emma," he said. I smiled back, wishing him the best. It was hard, but it felt like the right time to let go. I watched Noah leave, feeling a mix of sadness and peace. It was over, but I had learned so much about myself through him. I wasn't the same person I had been when he first walked into my cafe. Weeks later, I received a letter from Noah. He thanked me once more and told me he was happy where he was now. I smiled as I read his words. It was over, and it was time for me to look forward. I was ready for the next chapter in my life, and for the first time, I felt hopeful about what it would bring. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, please like the video and subscribe the channel and comment me about stories.